Hello, you've caught me in my happy place. So I would like to thank Andy and Mel from Southwest Creators and Heart of the Tribe Gallery for inviting me to talk about building an online presence as a creative professional. So I'm going to swap my palette and brushes for a cup of tea and some technology and a nice chat. So if you are or would like to be a creative professional, this is just a quick overview through some key things to think about when building your online presence. So we're going to talk about why build an online presence, why not just go and chat to people and be in your studio making, who are you addressing your online presence to, how to do that, where you do that, what platforms you do it, and what it is that you produce or type into your screen or computer or wherever it is you do it. And I'll try and show you some examples as well using my pretend mobile phone. So why bother creating an online presence? You may feel that you have a fantastic network of friends, artists and clients, but if you think that it needs something extra, if you want to reach out and connect in the online world that is now blended with our real interpersonal connections, especially with things like live streams where people are engaging in real time, and thank goodness for that in COVID, it really saved a lot of people's sense of isolation, being able to connect online, and it still serves that purpose for many people. So we'd all love to be doing this all the time. Making things is the essence of what it means to be creative, but we're not islands, and it's so important to connect with people, to engage with other artists and with customers and with people who can teach you things, and with friends and supporters. So those people who've made the effort to find you, it's really nice to be able to reach back to them if you can't just go around and see them and have a cup of tea, which reminds me, cheers. Be mindful of not telling and selling. So it shouldn't be all about telling, this is what I did, this is what I made, this is what I think, this is why I'm doing this. Those all have a part in your online presence, but there is so much more. And if you think about, if you go to a party or you're in a private view or something like that, you know, how does it feel when you meet someone and they ask you about what you're up to, or they show some curiosity, interest and enthusiasm for other people? Isn't that just so much more attractive than people who just want to tell you what they do and what they want you to do? So it's about getting that mindset of thinking this really is an extension of normal human interaction. So your online presence, as well as an opportunity to share your own practice and what you're producing, is a chance to support other people, and that is fundamental in creating a critical mass of artists that can grow. You can also get inspiration from other people. If you're stuck and you use things like hashtags, you can go and find resources, videos, other people's thoughts about that subject. It's a really great way to index ideas. So now it's time to think about who your audience is, and it's time to put on that marketing hat of thinking about your ideal buyer or contact. So this doesn't need to be someone with lots of money who reads certain magazines. This can be any visualized person or people who you think you actually want to connect with. So a little spoiler, we're not talking about your friends. Friends are wonderful supporters and they're great for getting it started. This is about building contacts. It's about finding an audience and also offering what you can offer to people. So if you are wondering what to post, think about what would be useful to your audience. What might be their pain points? What might be, might they be wondering how to frame a piece of art or how to take a photo for a portrait? If you're looking to be supported by people to perhaps grow your following or find connections,
That doesn't happen if you just sit back and tell people about what you do and how brilliant you are. It's a two-way thing. So if an organisation like Heart of the Tribe or Southwest Creatives is supporting you, it's like a family or a friendship group. It's very much, if you focus on what you can give, then things will just land in your lap. So recently I sold my biggest painting ever, and it was just due to a follower friend connection online who happened to share my painting on Twitter, and one of her followers saw it, came to the exhibition and bought the painting. So these things are not just single moments of generous sharing by people. They are the result of a long process of finding and building connections and an engaged audience. So beware tell and sell, and we're not aiming at friends, so you don't even have to like these people. This is about community. Let's have a look at how you might do that. So the first and most obvious way to have an online presence is to create things and share those things. So you might take a photo of your work and post it. That's the simple, obvious thing. Engagement. Look for opportunities to ask open questions and engage people. Think about sharing other people's work. So we are not in this business for the wealth that's generated by being an artist. If you're making a fortune being an artist, well, I take my hat off to you. However, there is definitely a possibility to help each other by sharing, and that costs nothing. You can go on your phone, on your tablet, on your PC. It takes only a minute, and you can go through those accounts. You might see things and think, oh, that's very nice, and then scroll on. So try and think in those moments about not just scrolling past. Leave a nice comment, maybe leave a question, maybe respond to somebody's question. If someone's created a caption and they've asked a question in the caption or in their story, respond, share their post, and that helps you as well as them. So what that does is it tells the algorithm, which is the kind of background big brother of Instagram or Facebook or whoever, and the algorithm is what decides what to show other people. What of your content is it going to show? So you get a kind of display of things you might be interested in, as does everybody else, and you can influence that by who you follow and what you engage with. But the algorithm ultimately decides what it's going to show you. So if you share posts, if you save those posts, if you comment on people's posts, or send them to people, or send them a DM, all those things register with the algorithm. So the algorithm will then note that you're active, that you're an active person to be encouraged, and it will also bump up its favour of that institution or person's post. So if Heart of the Tribe share a post about an upcoming exhibition, or you see one of an artist who you support, if you see their work mentioned somewhere, that's your time. That's the time to go in there, tag the artist, and leave a nice comment or leave a question, or say, I really enjoyed seeing this artist at, and then tag someone else in. And those kind of contacts build those kind of engagements. They really, really help. So if you are keen to support an organisation that's supporting you, this is a free way you can do it. It takes seconds, and if everybody who is supported by that organisation took the trouble to go in once a week, once a day or whatever, share a post, save it, leave a comment, imagine the amount of traffic that would happen on that post. So and as a result of that, the algorithm will pick it up. So that works both ways. But if you're sharing other people's posts, they get served up your posts more. So it's a heinous, manipulative beast, that algorithm. But if you want to play the game, if you want to help people who want to grow their online presence, that's a free, easy way to do it. And it, at the end of the day, there is the algorithm in the middle, but behind it all are real people with real feelings who really get a genuine happy feeling if somebody leaves a nice comment or if somebody shares their work. You might have heard the term airing. So often people talk about this in relation to texts. So you might, if you receive a message from someone, you can air them, you can just ignore it. And this is something which is particularly unfortunate on social media. So there are certain conventions. If somebody leaves a comment on your post, that is a person like you who has gone out of their way to say something or ask you something. To not respond to someone's comment is fine. You don't have to respond instantly, but to ignore a comment, or if somebody has shared your post or your story or something like that, then if we draw the party parallel again, that's like someone coming up to you at a party and saying, "Oh wow, I really like your dress," and that's like you just basically just going. If someone tags you in something, then it's nice to engage. It's nice to say, "Oh, thanks for showing me this. It looks amazing," or just something like that, just to kind of acknowledge and to respond. So it's kind of courtesy, but it's also a good kind of business sense. However, there is a bar. So there's a bar when you go from being friendly and engaged to inappropriate. And by inappropriate, what I mean is perhaps if you imagine you were at a demonstration and an artist was painting as a demonstration and there was an audience, or they were giving a talk, and you put your hand up and you were invited to say something. Now, if at that point you then say, "Oh, that's really interesting. I'm doing a painting just like that. Here's a link to where you can find my work." You wouldn't dream of doing that in a real life lecture. And so be aware of not doing the same thing in an online forum. So if someone has no followers and you're just a friend helping them get started, then it's fine to go a bit overboard with the comments and gush and try and start a conversation, help them start conversations with other people who've come on board. But if someone has got a decent following and they're getting lots of likes and lots of comments, trying to capture them into a conversation is great, but just be aware of of what might be at the other end, and just think again, what can you do to help them? If you're supported by an organisation and you engage in helping them, then that organisation benefits and ultimately you benefit. Whether that's a Facebook group or a gallery or a collective, whatever it is, you can help them and yourself by engaging. It's free and it will come back in spades. So a big place to do this is on other people's social media platforms. We're talking about other people's Facebook pages, Instagram, it could be LinkedIn, it could be Twitter. It depends very much on where you're comfortable and more where your audience is hanging out. So if, like I don't really like Twitter, it just happens to be something I'm not that keen on, but it's a good place to network. Twitter and LinkedIn are a way to reach certain people who aren't hanging out on Instagram or Facebook. So I'm really trying to build my presence there and just try and think about learning to use those platforms. And when you take on a new platform, you start to learn the etiquette of that platform. You learn how it works, what people do. So it's a really good tip to look for accounts that are big and successful in the fields that you're in and look at what they do. So don't spam them with messages, just quietly sit and look at what sort of content is getting engagement and what they're choosing to send out and how you feel when you read that content or digest that content. But there is also then what's in your own domain. So that's your website if you've got a website, and newsletter if you've got a newsletter. So those private channels that you control. So creating content on your website like a blog or content like newsletters where you might just share a cheery hello. Again, it's all about thinking about what your audience is after, what serves them, not just, oh, I did a new painting, oh, I did another new painting, because they won't open them. It's really hard to get people to even open newsletters. And also not just have 20% off all my paintings today, but you could have something seasonal, something that relates to something topical, something that they could learn from. And in the process of that, you could have a template for your newsletter which has lots of links that drive them to your website. So what you're doing really is you're creating links that take the traffic off social media onto your website and your email list. And that's where you can build real connection with people and you can nurture your audience. And that's particularly if you're thinking about selling work. There's no magic bullet. And then you can tie them together. So you can tie your social media with links to link people back to your website, back to your newsletter. So on an Instagram story, you can now create a link. So if you've got a newsletter sign up form, you can just put a link on your story that says, if you'd like to know, if you'd like to be the first one to hear about my new course or lino cut or performance, here's a link, join my newsletter, or you could just put on the link, click here for more, and that would take them to sign up for your newsletter, and then you can create a welcome newsletter for them that automatically arrives. So it's really common practice with artists who take their online presence seriously to spend a lot of investment of their time in building their newsletter, so encouraging people to join their newsletter and then making it worth joining by providing really great content. And there you can look at things like Canva and other tools to edit and formulate your content. What to share? Okay, so the fun bit obviously is the creative side of it. It's making the images and the videos to share. So one thing to be really aware of is trends, and trends are a mixed bag. So an example is Reels on Instagram. So they're short format videos. They basically come from TikTok as a format, and it can be only 5 seconds, so they can be really short. And when something is trending, it generally means the algorithm favours it. So it's a cheap and easy way to get your content shared. And if you're feeling a bit nervous about being on social media and exposing yourself on social media, if you spend a bit of time on there, you'll soon find that actually it's quite the other way around, and it's really quite hard to get seen once you're there. So creating engaging content is essential if you're going to build your following. So also thinking about trending audio. So there are certain tunes that get promoted by the algorithm, and then people look. So they might enjoy somebody else's reel, and then they might click to see what else has used that audio. So you can jump on these bandwagons, but obviously the other side to it is, if it doesn't fit your audience's inclination,
come check this.
Or if it's not really relevant to you and your content, if it's not the sort of thing that you've been trying to engage people with, then you may get loads of views, you may get quite a lot of engagement, but it may not be from the sort of audience that you're looking for. So always keep in mind balancing any trending stuff with the needs of your audience. Reuse. So whenever you're creating content, try and build it in a way that makes it reusable. So if you're creating a video, then be aware that you can share it. You can share it on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. They have different formats, so you have to learn about how to share portrait or landscape formats. But with practice and with forethought and planning, you can create content that you can share on different platforms. And there are plenty of platforms like Facebook Business Manager, and all sorts of Hootsuite and things like that you can use to share content on different platforms. So you can use it like a hub. If you're doing something like a blog, obviously you can share that in a newsletter, you can share links to it, you can share your newsletter on your Facebook page. So you don't have to create fresh content for every post, and you can reuse content. You know, if you've had a post in the past that's had lots of engagement, maybe put a slightly different spin on it, pick one of the less seen photos on it and recreate it, and you'll be sure to have a whole new audience of people. The ones who saw it before liked it and won't mind that, oh, there's that lovely thing I saw, and then there'll be new followers who haven't seen it, because people don't generally, unless they're a bit stalky, go right back through all your posts and look at your early stuff. Stalky or very nice and curious. Curating your feed. This makes your life easier. So for example, you might decide every sixth post I'm just going to give myself a break and share an inspirational quote, or every sixth post I'm going to share a little bit of personal content. I might show a bit of an unfinished piece of work, or my favourite cup of tea, or something like that. Depends what you're comfortable with, but maybe give yourself a break every so often, sharing something that's quite easy to create. And think about possibly your overall visuals. Think about your brand colour if you're going to go down that path. Just trying to get it so that it doesn't look like a uncoordinated kind of vomit of different stuff. So it looks more like a patchwork quilt that's got some sort of a theme. Is a really good way to think of your social media. And remember, it can evolve. So you can evolve and start using different fonts. You can sometimes have a blitz and think, right, I'm going to give everything a black background and I'm going to start using these two fonts and nothing else. And you can go back through, have a kind of a spring clean of your social media. That's a really good thing to do. So I really hope this has inspired you to try some new things, to extend yourself out there, to support each other, and to think about your audience. Get on video, maybe try a live, amuse yourself in the process. It's not meant to be a total drudge. It's meant to be engaging and fun, both to create and to consume. Enjoy the journey, and cheers for now.